Hi, I'm LaFaz Effects, and this is how I made my Hocus-Pocus spellbook. I 3D printed the structure of the book in 8 different pieces and glued them together to form the cover and the pages of the book. I sculpted the eyepiece in plasticine and then molded it in plaster. I used a similar process to make the ornamental snakes and the fingers for the spine of the book, but instead of molding them in plaster, I molded them in silicone. These are the molds for the ornamental snakes, the fingers for the spine of the book, and the eyepiece for the cover of the book. The material I used to cast the ornamental snakes is called Perfect Cast. It's a plaster-like material, but much stronger and more durable. The clasp for the book is hand-sculpted and made of Super Sculpey and Epoxy Sculpt. To paint the snakes in the clasp of the book, I first base-coated them in a matte black paint and then dry brushed them with a silver paint. I made the eyepiece for the book by brushing on many layers of liquid latex into the plaster mold, and then once it had set, I painted it with my airbrush. To make the rest of the skin patches for the book, I used air-dry foam clay and sculpted each patch without molding it. I didn't need to mold it because none of these skin patches had much detail, so it would be easy to replicate. The paint I used to paint the book is U.S. Art Supply's acrylic paint. The colors I primarily used were burnt sienna, burnt umber, raw sienna, and yellow ochre. To make the stitches of the book, I took some generic string and put it in a bag with some paint. I mixed the paint around until the string was evenly coated. Coating it in paint helped ensure it was the right color, but it also helped stiffen it. I poked the string into pre-made holes in the foam with a toothpick and then secured it with a dab of super glue. If you'd like, comment your guess for how many stitches there are in total on the book. Here is another clip of me adding the stitches to the book. As you can see, it is a very time-consuming process, and this clip is at 2x speed. To give the illusion that the book had pages, I dragged a soldering iron across the plastic structure of the book, making sure it would leave indents. These indents gave the book texture and made it look like there were pages inside. Once all the sides had been textured, I gave it an orangish-brown wash, and this helped give it an old, tattered look and bring out the details. To glue the ornamental snakes onto the cover of the book, I used JB Weld Marine Weld 5-minute epoxy to glue them to the cover of the book. This epoxy held well, and only in one instance did I have to reinforce it later on with super glue. After leaving my artist's mark, I used the same marine weld epoxy to glue the cover of the book to the base of the book. To glue the spine to the rest of the book, I used a mixture of super glue and baking soda, which creates a strong plastic-like weld. To glue the different clasp pieces and hinges together, I again used a super glue baking soda mix to create a strong bond between the different pieces. And that's how I made my Hocus Pocus spellbook. And for anyone wondering, the final stitch count for the book was 298 stitches. Thank you for watching LaFaz Effects.